about yourself. How did you end up living on the road?
So 3 years ago, well, more than 3 years ago, I started, I had done kind of everything you're supposed to do. And, you know, school, rent, all that.
You went to college.
Went to college. And I was kind of like, now what? And I had never really traveled before. And so I found your site pretty early on in looking at vehicle dwelling and traveling and stuff. So that was instantly appealing to me because I already had a vehicle.
And what was your vehicle?
I had a Honda hatchback fit.
That's a pretty tiny little vehicle.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Not confident yet, and hadn't done enough research, and I really wanted to just try it, so I took what I had and went with that. I put like a bed in it, did a really awkward setup, and so it was, that was my first run, and I loved it, even though I kind of hated the living space. I love the freedom, so I knew that was like something I really wanted to expand on.
So you got the fit ready to live in, you made a bed, and how long was that run?
6 months.
6 months, that's a long run.
Yeah. And the
Saw ways you could improve it.
Oh, yeah. Of course, you're never going to get it right the first time, I don't think. I mean, maybe some people do, but not me.
I haven't met them yet.
Yeah, I think it's constant rearranging, but yeah, and it was, I piled all my stuff. I had the folding seats to make the cargo area, so I packed all my stuff in there and then just kind of threw plywood and some cushions down, and then realized very quickly it was awkward to get to anything, and I was cramming food in random crevices wherever it kind of fit. And so yeah, it was tight.
Organization, this is everyone runs into. If you have to move things around all the time, that gets really old.
It sure does. And even still I do it, but it's much easier, and I guess about 6 by 8 than 4 by 5.
Yeah.
With 2 dogs. It was kind of nightmarish when the weather was bad. You know, so, but I ended up actually coming back to Massachusetts and trying to give it a second go with the whole hunting for vans and things, and that didn't work. I was looking at pretty poor vehicles for my price range and stuff. So I made the decision to come back to Arizona again and look for a van down here, which was kind of scary. And then down in Tucson, I finally found Athena. That's my van.
And what is she?
She's a Dodge Ram 1500 short wheelbase, which is kind of not exactly what I was looking for. Originally, I was looking for a normal size van, and I was very interested in having a high top. And then I thought about it, and for some reason, I looked at a ton of vans in Arizona, and the price was right on Athena, and she was in really good shape, and so I kind of fell in love with her, I guess. And it doesn't. I don't find that the lack of height for me is really too much of an issue. I'm outside a lot, and when I'm not, I'm usually sitting or lying down writing or something. So
right.
It's beautiful. I absolutely love having a van. It makes a huge difference in every way. Very good choice for me.
Yeah.
Easy to drive. Easy to fit in places, so that's nice. I'm very much an explorer, so I go down all those creepy roads you shouldn't. And so yeah, it's been really great. And
so, talking about going down creepy roads you shouldn't, were you ever afraid? Didn't it occur to you? Because I'm sure when you told your parents and your friends, your college buddies, you were going to go live in a van, didn't they all tell you were crazy and you'd be out a day and be murdered?
Yep, I heard a lot of that, especially from my family. My friends were a little perplexed as well, but my family is very concerned. It was just constant. You're going to get murdered. You're going to end up in a ditch. What if you break down? All these what ifs. And as far as the only thing I could tell them to make them feel better is that could happen anywhere. Any of these things could happen to me anywhere. And statistically, it's more likely to happen in a place inhabited by tons of people living stressful city lives anyway.
By far.
By far, just the numbers alone. But that's just the way it is. What I'm doing is coming back to nature, and your chances of being murdered, or somebody might come here to dump a body, but usually I don't feel like people come out to hurt people. They just want to get away and relax. The scariest moment I actually had was being woken up by a ranger, or actually he was a sheriff, because I was tenting at the time actually, and totally legally, but I had texted my aunt. Somebody had broken into my tent, and so I texted her kind of just a thanks humanity message, like my tent just got broken into. My mom is a very nervous human being, so I turned my phone off to go to sleep a couple hours later, and then she called the sheriff on me to make sure. So I woke up, and that was terrifying, and that was seriously the scariest wake up I've ever had. He just wanted to make sure everything was okay, but.
So the one time you've really been scared was someone there to help you.
Right, law enforcement. So.
Are you okay? Can I help you? You know, he was there. He was being a good guy.
Right, he was, but the light and I could see a person, and I'm like, it was jarring, to say the least, waking up to a person kind of approaching your tent. And a tent's not quite as solid. You don't feel quite as secure as in a Dodge Ram. But
no, you lock your doors, and by the time they can get through, you've got her fired up and driving away.
That's right. Yes, my dogs always let me know. I have plenty of warning, and it's much more secure. But yeah, that was a pretty alarming experience. But other than that, nothing super scary. Just occasional.
You follow your instincts.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of instincts. There's breathing room out here. You look around, it's not like a city. You're not on top of each other. That's very, very important. My stress just completely plummeted in every way, like immediately.
Yes, everyone I know says that.
Yeah.
And how do you handle your finances? How are you financing your trips?
A lot through savings. So at my job in Massachusetts, I had saved up a bunch of money, which is what I originally went with. So I just kind of took it and went, and I hope for the best. I've always been a very good saver. I don't have a lot of things. I don't need a lot of things. I don't, so I ended up with a good amount of savings to leave with for my test run. And then when I went back to Massachusetts I had only gone through like $2,000 for my first run. And then when I went back,
in 6 months.
6 months. In between, of course, I have worked on the road. I'm not sure that's something I'm actually able to give any solid advice on. At this point, it's very, it just kind of happens when it happens. It's a lot of like looking at odd jobs, a lot of randomness, not a lot of method on my part. When I stay somewhere long enough, usually I just get opportunities by word of mouth, a lot down in southern Arizona. But I've done a lot of cleaning and pet care and general labor, unskilled labor.
So far, when you needed a job, you're biting into your savings a little more than you wanted. A job came along.
Yeah, and I can pick and choose out here, and it's kind of nice. But yeah, it's been working out so far.
And did you convert your van yourself? Did you buy converted? Was it just an empty van?
It was in its original state when I bought it. So it was carpeted. It had 2 bench seats, which I took out immediately. That's like the first thing I did. And then I'm like, what do I do with this? I was in Sierra Vista. A friend of a friend down in Sierra Vista had all the tools for me to use. And he was a great help. And I'd never actually met him before. So it was very kind of him to help me, and he had just kind of heard about what I was doing, so that was lucky for me.
But you would also say, maybe don't want to put words in your mouth, but while everybody was telling you you'll run into monsters on the road, you've mostly found kindness on the road and helpfulness.
It's incredible how much, when you're willing to socialize and meet people and you have the time to do so and the energy, exactly the kind of people that are willing to help you along the way. And I've never been somebody that's comfortable asking for help ever. So it was kind of weird and new, but I'm so thankful, because without help, this would have been harder, much harder. You can't always have everything you need all the time. I think you run into situations, and I've met a lot of really helpful, knowledgeable people, a lot of older people who've done this a long time as well, with a lot of good information. And so keep your ears open, and you'll learn a lot of things.
Right. It seems like every book or movie or TV show people reality type that they go out to discover America. The common theme is America's full of really great people. And if you're a good, decent person, you're going to run into good, decent people.
Yeah, I agree with that very much.
And that's been your experience.
Yeah, it totally has. And you're always going to meet a mixed bag of, various types of people. That's the world. But there's so much good, you know? A lot of good, a lot of positive experiences to be had. And so there's really no point in listening to all the fear, because there's always fear. There's always going to be fear. The quickest way to turn the fear off, I think, is to turn the television off. And then all of a sudden, things aren't very scary anymore. And just live it and experience it yourself. And I don't think it'll be as scary as you think it will. So.
Right. Okay, well, thank you for just letting us to get to know you a little bit.
Yeah,
would you mind showing us your van?
Sure.
With this little space, there's really not much you can do.
No, you just gotta try to make it your own, make it feel good. Because of course, when I first got it, I didn't have anything in it, and I didn't want it to look like just a van. I wanted it to look nice and kind of cute, or as cute as I could make it.
You spend a lot of time in it.
Yeah, I sure do. And a lot of time looking at it. So, you went up. You're a bit in the floor space. No, he doesn't want to move. Grunt, grunt, grunt. So what we've got is basically storage is super important.
Always. And did you build these cabinets?
Me and my brother did. This was like a free table on the side of the road. It didn't quite fit, but it does now. Reconfigured it, and he actually made these doors, which I was gonna paint, but I kind of like it. This is much better than, well, I'll show you over here, because these are just great. I think everybody uses these, or most people do. I've got food and tools and writing and things, and an entire dog bin, electronics,
Right.
And so I stuck these in, and they fit perfectly. I found them. But then I realized they'd probably come open, and I figured something surrounding them would just look really nice.
Yeah, it looks nice, and it keeps it all from sliding around and flying out.
Right. And the clips help, because, the doors were at first kind of swinging around.
Right.
You can't always be level, and I don't think the van or the floor itself is level.
A lot of people don't think about counter space, and I think it's very important in a van.
It's so valuable. I use it for everything.
Yeah.
For watching movies and chopping food and just putting things. This huge, big countertop, which takes up half the length, is awesome. And the bed takes up the other half, because I have to fit, me and two dogs in here. Right. So I've got 4-foot bed. I'm short, so I can sleep this way, which is awesome. I think in such a small space, this isn't like a regular size van, so that's
short van really cuts off the space.
Yeah, it really does. Sometimes during building and things like that, I was always like, I should have sprung for the extra, 2 feet or whatever, but it all worked out in the end.
It is what it is.
And I actually don't mind it at all, and
And of course you have a lot of storage underneath. That's what we all do.
This bed was originally a bit higher, and it didn't feel quite right, so that was another thing changed down the line. It got dropped down to the wheel wells.
I've actually known several people who had to drop their bed, realize that it just was too full, too tall.
Yeah, hitting your head.
That gets old.
It really, already got the low roof, so I had to make sure I wasn't doing that.
There's your solar controller.
It's my solar controller.
You just put that on.
I am charging right now.
Got a 100-watt panel.
And it's full.
It's a very overcast day, but you're getting power.
Yeah. More than enough power. I've got the 100 watts, and it's so far, I don't have too many things, like I said. And my laptop, which is what I'm charging now, is not fussy and doesn't need much. Well, the front is always being used for additional things. I try and keep it as tidy as possible, because it's very easy to put things up there that you're not using back here, and then it just kind of gets jumbled.
And you cook right there, probably?
I usually cook over here. I just put it there to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But I usually will cook inside because the wind is, in these big spaces,
right.
a bit of a pain. But yeah, I cut stuff up here, cook it down there, and I do cook outside as well, but all depends on the weather.
We all poop.
Right.
And 5-gallon bucket?
I've got a even smaller. I'm super minimalistic, I guess, because mine's in here.
Ah.
It's a 2-gallon.
Just a 2-gallon.
Yeah. And it's awesome. It works just fine.
None of that fancy stuff.
None of that fancy 5-gallon nonsense. But yeah, it's just the easiest possible solution, and it makes dumping it much easier. And
is the bed underneath?
Yep. Right now, so I haven't built a box. I was gonna actually. I'm thinking my next project will be building a wooden box for this. So right now I'm just kind of shielding it with whatever I've got. But that's the battery I'm using, the alligator clips right now. Art stuff, more stuff. That's pans and pots. Another really good thing when you're living in a space this small is to use every pocket.
Yes, yeah.
Because these were actually paneled over, because this was a passenger van with all the panels and the things.
Right.
And I ripped them off because I was, lifting them up, and I'm like, there's all this space back there that's not being used, so I just tore it off. And so I got books and like magazines up on those. I've got all my cleaning things, and
so you're not carrying much. That's the bottom line.
not really, no.
You really are a minimalist.
I truly don't like things too awfully much, unless I can get some sort of use out of them, like the wind.
It's either useful or
necessary.
Or not, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just not there.
No, I don't need too much, I've found.
Yeah.
I'm pretty easily entertained, which is helpful. It's a much more rewarding life, I think.
Right.
I mean, just in general. So, yeah, highly recommend it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.